Thank you very much, Chairman. Good afternoon, all friends, shareholders. Good afternoon. You know, I have been at GraceKennedy for 23 years. A lot of my time here was doing what Frank is doing as the CFO. And over the years at the AGM, we have had people who I describe as stalwarts of the minority shareholders for the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Upon their own accord, I think of Mr. Cliffy Burrows. I'm happy to see his son is here, Chris. I think of Mr. Charles Leiber, who at the tender age, Mr. Rain at 33, I'm sure you remember, as a young CFO, when he asked me the question of why am I paying director fees at a larger percentage than the dividends. And while I tried to explain, he wasn't really understanding what I was saying. So you bailed me out, right, remember? Mr. Ralph Chen, Ralphie, who passed a few years ago. These are unsung heroes. It is with sadness that we have lost another one of our stalwarts, Mr. Sushil Jan. He was someone very special to us. Frank and myself, he would call and say, Don, Frank, I'm sending you some questions before the AGM, so you are well prepared to answer them, so you are not surprised. I said, great, I love that. And of course, Frank and I stay up all night answering the questions, and he would come to the AGM and ask 5 other questions, just as hard. So I would ask that our shareholders, in respect to Sushil, our dear friend and shareholder, a minute silence. Thank you very much. Where's Mr. Staples? Is he here? Mr. Staples, you're one of the stalwarts, but the way you look today, I think you're going to be around for a very long time. So it's very nice to see you, sir. Very, very nice to see you. You're one of the champions of the minority shareholders, and as we say, respect you, sir. I would like to start my presentation by introducing my team, the executive committee. As we say at GraceKennedy, team means together everybody achieves more. They are primarily in the front. Can you just stand? The executive team of GraceKennedy, Gail and Frank, have been introduced. This is the team that keeps GraceKennedy going every day. Our vision, as it was last year, we have not changed our vision of being a global consumer group. You recognize from the theme that we are focusing for 2018 on building consumer and shareholders' value. Of course, James, as we say at GraceKennedy, the most valuable asset for the GraceKennedy group is our people, and we speak about a motivated and highly skilled workforce. Global consumer group, this is our definition. Gordon Sharp, as a retired director, what gets measured gets done. 60% of our revenue outside of Jamaica, 50% of our group profits outside of Jamaica, and leverage our relationship with our international partners. And shareholders would notice that we have a new partner in P&G, and I'll speak about that later in my presentation. So how are we doing in terms of our objective of 60% of our revenue outside of Jamaica? Well, we did pretty well. We're at 51.5 for 2017. You'd notice that North America has grown quite a bit, and also Europe has decreased. But all in all, 2017 and 2016, they are very similar. So we're on track. We're on track to achieve our 60% by the timeline that we had agreed on. I have a very interesting chart. Is the lights, are you seeing at the back the charts? Or the lights could be down a little bit. I think we should, can we ask, yes, I think it would be a little sharper now. Olivia, you can see it? Well, you better come in the front. I think you need glasses. All right, no, so, no, this is a slide that I really want to spend a minute on with our shareholders. So what you're seeing here is a growth chart of our revenue from 2012. And what you notice is that we have been doing exceptionally well in terms of growing the GraceKennedy group of companies on a sustainable basis. And what is even more important, if you look at the UK and Europe, that has grown by just about 50%. And North America, over the last 5 or so years, has grown by over 200%, and that's primarily by acquisition. And the Caribbean, although relatively small, has grown by 88%. So 2 points I'd make here in terms of strategy and going forward. The first one is that you recall that we have actually sold 2 companies which we consider not to be core business, Hardware and Lumber and FGFS. So despite selling businesses, we are still showing significant growth in revenue. The other strategy is that acquisition in terms of consumer brands and Lafayette, etc., is actually working very well, and we are seeing a fair amount of organic growth. I'm going to come back to this slide later in my presentation because there's a point that I'd like to make. In terms of profit before tax, you would see that 56% of our profits are generated inside Jamaica, 44% outside of Jamaica. If you compare that to the previous year, it was 63-37. So we are moving in the right direction. As my good friend Sushil would say, is that you guys need to ensure that you're growing both outside and inside quickly. Well, what is happening is that outside is actually growing faster than Jamaica, and that is actually reflected in the slide that I previously showed you, where revenue in Jamaica is growing by 17%. If you think about that for a minute, GraceKennedy, in terms of our food business, our remittance business, and our insurance business, we're actually market leaders. So in terms of rate of growth, one would expect that to be not as fast as outside of Jamaica, where we have just basically started. So can you hold your thoughts until question time? I'll be happy to answer them during the question time, Livy. Okay, in terms of group revenue for the year, 2017 audited results, we did pretty well. 4.21 billion in terms of growth, 4.8% growth. Both financial and financial services and food division grew. Those of you who have the calculator, we have a figure that we discussed as executive, Tony, of 100 billion. We want to be a 100 billion company. And I don't think it's too far off. If you do the calculation, 8.1% growth for 2018 will give us 100 billion in revenues for the GraceKennedy Group. And that will be the first company in the history of Jamaica to ever achieve that objective. So 2018 is an important year. So hopefully, next year, this time, I'll be saying to all of you that we're a 100 billion company because we're really working hard towards that. In terms of 2017 group profit after tax, it's 5.2%. One would say that it's okay. We grew by $240 million, but it was a challenging year. And we had unexpected events. We had a Category 5 hurricanes, Irma and Maria. Frank and I will expand on that later in the presentation. I spoke about the temporary ban on corned beef at the previous AGM. Our remittances, because of increased compliance, was also declining. And when we showed this, and Frank and I and Stephen and others, we debated this a lot in terms of revaluation of the Jamaican dollar. Now, you would ask yourself, Mr. Rain and Everton, revaluation of the Jamaican dollar. However, if you're a company that is primarily earning a significant amount of your earnings outside of Jamaica, if there is a revaluation in real terms, and I'll explain what real terms is, you're going to have a negative impact on your profit and loss and how you consolidate your results in Jamaican dollars. And I'd ask the shareholders at the appropriate time, when you have some time, look at page 155, Chris, where we have done a sensitivity analysis in terms of the valuation of the dollar. But what has happened is that the inflation rate in Jamaica, when I say real terms, was 5.2%. The inflation rate in the United States of America, which is our major trading partner, was 2.1%. So every economic model will tell you that the dollar is expected to devalue by 3.1% to remain competitive, and the dollar actually revalued. and that impacted our GraceKennedy results by about $500 million, which is significant in the scheme of things. In terms of the first quarter, we have started well. Revenue at $24.9 billion. If we continue like that, Fred, 25 times 4 is 100. Let's keep focused. But it's up 5.1% and $1.2 billion. So we are quite pleased in terms of the performance. Both financial and food division have started well in terms of revenue. Early days yet, but it's always nice to be off to a good start. Profit after tax, we had a reasonable quarter, Marjorie Kennedy, up 15%. I think that's reasonable, 170 million. And we expect both our revenue and our profits for the year to continue to perform well. So we are expecting, in a nutshell, a good 2018 for the GraceKennedy group of companies. Our stock price. You would notice that our stock price has appreciated, has gone up in value. The first 5 months of this year, we are up 10.7%. But I wanted to point you to the ratios that I'm showing there. That the PE ratio in 2017 audited is 10.6%, 10.56%, and the Jamaica Stock Exchange are at 13.4%. Based on that analysis, we believe as executives and as a board that the value of the GraceKennedy stock is actually undervalued, and we believe that there is scope for improvement in terms of the valuation of the Grace stock going forward. Not to mention that our dividends has increased over the years quite well. Let us look at some strategies by division. Our food division, we're very happy with the performance of our acquisition in the USA. Both the Grace brand and the Lafayette brand is growing. In fact, since we have bought the company in 2014, 2015, the revenue for that company has gone up by over $10 million US. So we are seeing growth in that company. We're going to be relaunching the Lafayette brand, so we expect further growth from there. This is one that I'm so happy about. Georgia, the Grace patties. The Grace patties is up 200%. In other words, we have double the sales in 1 year. And what is very interesting, because when I travel, I like to go to the Walmarts and the Targets and stand up and say, who is buying the Grace products? And what I've noticed is that a lot of, let's say, non-Caribbean people are purchasing the Grace patties. So what that is saying to me, that is actually crossed over to mainstream America. So what you can expect, the growth that we're seeing with the Grace patties will continue. And I must say, it is and I confess that I'm biased, right? But it's the best tasting patty. Best tasting patty. In terms of the challenges that we have in the UK, our nourishment, which is our milk-based drink, has come under some amount of pressure. The sales went down 2017 over 2016. We have done a lot of market research. We have added a no sugar, which is becoming extremely important variant to it. And we have offered a vitamin enriched nourishment, which we are calling Mojo. We have seen for the first quarter no further decline, and Andrea Coy, who is now in charge of international foods, I went through the plans with her, and I expect for 2018 that nourishment will in fact rebound based on the marketing plans and the strategic distribution plans that we have in place. I show SAP software as $1 million US investment. Well, it's just more than that. GraceKennedy shareholders, your company, our food division, is actually an international food company headquartered in Jamaica, owned by Jamaicans. I make that point to say that we have companies in Canada, in the UK, in the USA, in Belize, and all over, Ghana. And what is happening is that this is the final leg of us consolidating the software system that runs our food division. So what you can expect is more consolidation, more centralized purchasing, more centralized accounting, and in fact that has started. And that is actually going to flow to the bottom line. And that's what I mean by efficiency. So while $1 million may not seem a lot in the scheme of things and the future outlook, I'm expecting increased efficiency throughout the food division because we're now using one software. Europe is really a star in the group. We're up 27%. We're seeing significant growth in Germany, Holland, Italy, and France. That is a market that we're going to be focusing on as we move forward. Ghana has been challenging. You would see in the report a huge growth year over year for the previous year. But you know, and this is a part of innovation, it's a staple learning. We're in a new market. We decided in 2014, March 2014, that we're going to set up our own company there and do our own distribution. When you're on a strategic journey, you must not be ashamed to look back and do an assessment and say, listen, we could have done it better. And we're at that point now, and all indications are showing that the more efficient way, the more profitable way for GraceKennedy to really carry out our strategic intent for Ghana is for a third-party distributor, and that is the direction that we're heading in. So for next year, or this year, you may see a dip, but we anticipate that you're going to see the growth when we settle that third-party distribution. But I want to make the point again that Africa and Ghana remains extremely important to the GraceKennedy Group as a part of us becoming a global consumer group. But sometimes you have to look at your strategy and you have to rewind and come again. World brands, increase in profits, increase in revenue. We got Lucozade, who is probably the biggest energy drink. We got exclusivity, and that continues to do well. The company to your left or your right has been a true success story for us for 2018. And if there's one thing that I'd hold up as done, what is a success, is consumer brands. Where we acquired consumer brands in September 2017, you would see, hopefully you can recognize some of those brands, the top brands. P&G, remember I showed you that leveraging our partnership with international relationship with being a global consumer group. P&G is arguably one of the best marketing companies in the world, and we have now formed a relationship with them. That gives us also the opportunity to expand with P&G outside of Jamaica. But let me say this, that the acquisition of consumer brands in terms of profitability, in terms of revenue, has exceeded our expectations in every way by a significant amount. In addition to that, is Atal here? Atal remains as the chairman, and he was the founder of Consumer Brands. We actually got Distributor of the Year by P&G. Is Tamara here? Tamara not here? Tamara, where are you? Tamara, stand up. Tamara is the General Manager of Consumer Brands. She's one of the fantastic managers in the GraceKennedy Group and is doing a brilliant, brilliant job. In terms of GFS, last year you'd have heard me probably a little emotional about the corned beef, and the corned beef is off the market. Well, the truth is that the corned beef costed us $500 million in revenue, and I'm not going to say the margin, or Andrew Carr is going to give me a hard look, but it's significant to the group in terms of $500 million. But you know what? When there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. And the team, our GFS team, said, okay, this is the reality. We're down $500 million. How are we going to make it up? And as I stand here in front of the owners of GraceKennedy, I'm so proud to say that notwithstanding the loss of $500 million in revenue, which was outside of our control, that company, GFS, reported increased revenue and increased profits. And I must recognize Mrs. Carr, but what happened to is that our manufacturing actually increased because people started to buy more Andrea Vienna. So we're producing a lot more Vienna. So, you know, when there's a crisis, there's big opportunity, and we took advantage of that opportunity. High-Low, we opened High-Low Portmore, doing extremely, extremely well. I hope those of you who live in that area is shopping at High-Low Portmore. And as part of our integrated retail strategy, Mariam, First Global is a part of the High-Low retail setup. Barbican has given us, anybody live in the Barbican area? Thank God Paris is now open up, but our sales, to be honest with you, is down 40% because of the road works. We are hoping with the roads now open up that we'll see a recovery there. online shopping is going to be big for us at Hilo. As I said earlier, in manufacturing, we had a good year. Dairy industries and the meat division had a good year. We acquired a third of Grace Pepper, you know, that little hot red pepper sauce. And that's another part of the GraceKennedy strategy. We're going to make strategic acquisitions of some of our suppliers going forward. And this has worked out to be well. Andrew Gray, who owns the company, has been dealing with us, I think, Mr. Rain from Carlton Alexander's time. So this is really cementing our relationship with Grace Pepper, and that is actually going extremely well. We have an innovation there, frozen foods. I was in New York and Florida last week, and I mentioned that we're going to be coming up with a new technology where we can actually package and brand yam and export it. Well, that is the factory that will be doing that, and they were so excited. That factory, which will be our sixth factory, will open up in the third quarter of 2018. Here's another project that, as shareholders, I think you should be quite proud of. Remember a few years ago, I made a point about us importing pepper from Costa Rica. And we said, for Jamaica, that really don't make sense. And we entered into a partnership at Hounslow with some farmers. Well, that has turned out to be exceptionally successful in the sense that, Joe Marie, in the sense that instead of importing pepper from Costa Rica, we are now exporting pepper to 5 different countries. So what has happened is the demand for our pepper mash coming out of Hounslow has gotten so much that sometimes the local market is actually short. So we have to increase production. We have to increase production. So we have come up with a mother farm concept where we will lease the land, we will put in the infrastructure, we will give advice to the farmers, but we're going to divide in 10-acre plots so the small farmer can get an opportunity to produce. And the feedback from the farmers in St. Elizabeth is just heartwarming. I remember going down a few months ago and I was watching the unloading, I think it was Kellyan, and the farmer said to me, thank you, Mr. Wehby. I said, no, thank you. You are the one that is supplying us, and we really appreciate it. Look at the lovely Kellyan. And he said, no, I don't mean that. He said that he has a daughter that he can now afford to send her to university because of this GraceKennedy contract. And, you know, I said to myself, boy, if we could replicate that model, it's just really a win, win, win. And that's what Jamaica needs, right? The opportunity for farmers and other people to send their children to university. He was almost in tears when he was telling me that the bank is now honoring the GraceKennedy commitment as collateral so he can send his daughter to University of West Indies to study business. Local corned beef. Hey, I hear the giggle. All right, so listen, I was in two minds. I was going to say local bully beef. But guess what? You see, GraceKennedy, as I said, I'm here 23 years, right? From Douglas O'Rian, Jimmy Masalam and others. We always encourage innovation. I remember Raf Diaz telling me, never be afraid to fail, but just learn from the failure. And I took that advice very seriously. So when we were in a crisis with the corned beef, I said to myself, why can't we produce corned beef locally? And I got a blank stare from some of my executives. Is Zach here? Zach Mars? Zach, stand. I want you to stand, Zach. Zach is our innovation person and so. And he said, Don, I think we can do it, you know. And Simon, I said, well, go ahead and do it. I remember distinctly a politician laughing after me, almost ridiculing me about local corned beef. Well, I just sent him this picture here of me tasting the local corned beef. And you see me smiling because it tastes good. And I want to recognize my team who took on that decision and took on that challenge of innovation to produce local corned beef in Jamaica. Don Wehby, tasted it last week and it tastes good. And I want you to recognize them and give them a round of applause. But Absolutely. And Chris, your support is going to be important, because I tell you why. GraceKennedy, we have played our part to a certain extent, right? But we can't do it alone. It has to be a national effort. We have had meetings with the Cattle Breeders Association, which I never even knew existed. We're going to meet with RADA and other agricultural lobby groups. Because the truth of the matter is that we just don't have even a fraction of the local beef trimmings to supply a local corned beef market. But as I said before, this could be an opportunity going forward where our farmers can get to work and get into cattle farming in a lot more focused way. So we're not giving up. We're not giving up. We are saying that this is a national effort. We're going to need policy to support it, but it can be done. And we have shown that it can be done by producing the local corned beef. Zach and his actually, my team wanted to sample it here, but we didn't have enough. What happened? Eat it off. Eh? No, I will arrange a sample at the appropriate time, or if you send me a name and number, I'll send you a sample. It's actually quite good, and why it's not as salty, which I think is good. But yeah, but I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of the team. So I was saying, so Zach and his team will come back with a proposal in terms of how we move forward. But it's clear, this is going to be a national effort. Here's a priority one for our food division colleagues, the healthier choices. This is priority one. You know that tropical rhythms, which all you love, we have actually reduced the sugar content by about 65% in tropical rhythms. Yeah, we have. Unlike our competitors, do you see, Livy, I'm not going to be taking front page pictures showing that we have reduced the thing. I'll share it with my shareholders and our marketing team. But I can tell you, and Andrea will tell you that the sales of tropical rhythms is going up double digit in every market that we operate. It's a huge seller. You know, I have children, Nicholas and Abigail and Steph, early 20s and teens, right? When you talk about healthy lifestyle for these millennials, they take it very, very seriously, you know. Every food publication that you read, everyone, in terms of the next generation of millennials, this is going to be by far, the fastest growing segment in food, by far. So you can look for the water market to be growing significantly. The point that I'm making is that for your company to continue to grow and be dominant in the food market, both local and internationally, resources we must put behind healthier choices. And we have been making progress. Our corned beef, I think, as far as I know, our corned beef in terms of low sodium is the only one on the market. Our cock soup in terms of low sodium. But we have an innovation team, Mr. Staple, very focused in terms of healthy choices. And I expect that in terms of growth and segment growth for the GraceKennedy Group, keep your eyes on this one as shareholders, because it's going to be huge. Whether we do it by acquisition or creating new variants to our product, but it's going to happen. Healthy choices is going to happen. Let me quickly turn to financial services division. And you see the GK1 there, financial services division. This again presents tremendous opportunity for the GraceKennedy Group. Tremendous opportunity. Think about it. We have seen research where we talk about underserved and unserved in terms of the banking system in Jamaica. 34% of the population of Jamaica is unserved. 34%. In addition to that, 33% is underserved. In other words, they have not used a savings account, I think, for the last 18 months. That's the definition of underserved. So if you add that up, that's 67% of the population of Jamaica is either underserved or unserved. Now, look at the competitive advantage of GraceKennedy. We have 143 locations through Western Union. In every parish, as my friend would say, in every nook and cranny, you have a Western Union. Our competitors don't have that, so that's a competitive advantage. So clearly, what we need to do, Chris, we need to have a GK1, where you can go to that location, you can do your banking with First Global, you can do your insurance with Grace, bill payment with Michelle and Margaret, and you can be your services. So the plan is, and we have rolled out 4, which you see the locations there, and for 2018, subject to regulatory approval for the agencies, we're going to roll out another 16. So by the end of 2018, Gordon, we're going to have 20 of those. I believe, based on the map that I've seen by the team, we can get up to 50 locations within the space of 2 years. So when we talk about underserved and the 67%, we're in pole position as a group of companies to bring that segment of the market to the GraceKennedy group under the umbrella GK1. I believe that this presents the greatest opportunity for growth in the financial services division. In terms of First Global Bank, Mariam, we actually had a good year. We actually had a very good year. Opened about 8 full-service branch, again in Portmore, which I mentioned earlier. And we welcomed Peter Moses, who is not here with us, but he's the chairman of First Global Bank. Peter has an outstanding career as a banker and as a city banker in Jamaica, and he's making a big difference to that bank. So optimistic about First Global Bank. GK Capital and GK Investments, this is another great story. Stephen Whittingham, who I'm not apologizing to say that he's the best investment banker in Jamaica. Stand up when I say that now, Stephen, man. Make everybody see you. So we saw an opportunity with the Central Southern Office, which was basically breaking down. And we approached a BPO, Sutherland Group, who's by far one of the largest operators. I think they have 6,000 jobs in Jamaica and so, but they're big, worldwide. And we said to them, listen, we will lease the building, we'll fix it up, and we want you to operate it in terms of a BPO center. So right now we're operating 60,000 square feet in terms of BPO. The return on that investment is fantastic. But guess what? Shareholders, friends, we have created 1,500 new jobs in that location in downtown Kingston. Insurance, my dear friend Grace, 2017 was a little rough for her. The Hurricane Irma and Maria. But Grace, although we're showing a reduction in profitability, I want to congratulate you in front of your shareholders. You know why? Because what it showed with 2 category 5 hurricanes hitting Dominica and Turks and Caicos, I think twice, it showed, Mr. Staple, it showed that I know you ask this question all the time, it showed that our risk management system in the GraceKennedy group is robust and is working. Because our reinsurance program was A-class, and we paid our customers on time. That's what it is showing. So Grace, I will congratulate you on putting together a first-class reinsurance program and a robust risk management system for the GraceKennedy group of companies. I think you should have, before you ask the question, hold on, a big man. Applaud her, man. Applaud the lady, man. All right, the other one that is a bright spot is we talk about digitization, Chris Bond, and that's the future growth. Well, it's true, right? GK Online, GKG Online, which is our insurance platform, is actually growing at 43%. And that rate of growth, Joe Marie, I expect it to continue going forward in terms of digitization. Our expansion in the Eastern Caribbean is also going very well. In terms of money services, This was one occasion where I spent with our retired chairman, Mr. Ray. We both were in the Privy Council along with Gail, listening to the proceedings of the paymaster. This one was getting a little emotional. It has been with us from 2000, and things were being said about GraceKennedy. And one thing I know about the company that I lead, and by extension, all of the staff, there's one thing that we take very seriously without compromise. Is honesty, integrity, and trust. Without compromise. Our word is our bond. And things are being said about this great company. Jomer is not in our head. That would send a wrong message. So when the Privy Council ruled in December in our favor, I was not surprised, but I was relieved. And all arguments were put to rest. Mr. Rain, I want to recognize you on that one. In terms of expansion, we're now in our 12th country, Bahamas. Joe Marie is the retired managing director of GKMS. We had a very, very interesting meeting with the Western Union, who basically said to us, we have been together for 28 years. We're in the English-speaking Caribbean. You guys are doing a fantastic job. The CEOs here, Hikmet and Odelan. They said, we're ready to expand again with you. New countries, new products. So something that we can look forward to our shareholders in terms of growth of this business, in terms of GKMS, is that probably we're going to be adding, we have 12 now, probably going to be adding more. And God, don't be surprised if it's not English-speaking Caribbean. It could be outside of the English-speaking Caribbean, because there's a lot of opportunities there, and those markets are quite big. Compliance. Last year, Margaret will remember. Margaret, stand up a little bit. Margaret is the new country manager for Jamaica. She was recently promoted in January. The world of remittances and money transfer has changed and will continue to change. This issue of compliance is no joke. Some of you recall when I said last year that we are going to be known for the best in compliance, and compliance is a competitive advantage. Well, we have taken that very seriously. As I said, honesty, integrity, and trust, our word is our bond. There's going to be no compromise of GraceKennedy's network as it relates to Western Union or GKRS. None. So we were proactive. We actually closed 10 agents. And when I look, transactions are going to fall. But to me, transaction falling was secondary. That was secondary. And it did fall. It fell by 11%. It's still down. But I prefer to have a system with less revenue, but is very, very clean. Even if it means less profit. Even if it means less profit. So we did the work, and the 10 locations are actually opened up back again. But let me tell you something. This is going to be an ongoing exercise, because we are not putting up with any abuse of the GraceKennedy network as it relates to our money transfer business. Digitization, GKMP. I tell you something, GKMP. Remember, I stand up here boasting about campaign. You remember that? When I was a young CEO, my story, like a Steve Jobs, I thought I was being very clever. Well, it's actually in place, but it's not working as well as we thought. And I did say you could pay your bill at high-low, and you can. But we need to, as against strategy, you have to keep revisiting your strategy. I think we need to look at the value proposition of GKMPA. But we have a good product. But we just have to step back, look at the strategy, and as my son would say, wheel and come again. Woo.com, brilliant product that you can now send funds from Jamaica to 200 countries. Our mobile app, which I showed last year, Simon is on track for the end of the year. HR, Naomi, you want to be recognized? You know, it's the only all the women running GraceKennedy. We speak a lot about strategy, fiscal strategy, we speak about fiscal balance and that sort of a thing. But there's one thing that I can say to you. The greatest asset that GraceKennedy has is not on our balance sheet. It is the staff of GraceKennedy. Without them, our strategy would be just a piece of paper. And I want all the staff of GraceKennedy just to stand, and I want to give them a warm, warm thank you. James, as the song goes, right? As the song goes, they are simply the best. Simply the best. Corporate headquarters, everybody saw the corporate headquarters going up. Mr. Ranglin is the project manager. Don't be alone because you're a man, you can stand up. Mike is the project manager. So the good news is that we're going to finish by December 2018, right, Mike? And we'll be in our new offices in first quarter. And I hope I'm not going to embarrass myself, but if I was predicting where the next AGM would be, I think it would be in a new building. Well, give me a clap then, man. Jeez, I'm being brave. I'm not going to tell the full story, but I'm just going to say a line that is up there. That building, 150 Jamaicans are working on it out of a total of 180 people. The 150 Jamaicans are from the inner city, our neighbors, Southside, Hanover Street, and they're actually learning a skill. And that is something that I'm extremely, extremely proud about. Corporate Governance Awards. This is our second consecutive year, right, Gail? NCB, we actually shared it with NCB. But Gina, you can stand. Recognize you. She's the chairman of our Corporate Governance Committee, doing a fantastic job. And our audit, Ratcliffe, you can stand as a judge too. Right, Fred Kennedy? Ratcliffe is the head of our internal audit department, and I got the highest recognition from the highest rated international body, the IAA. Congrats, Ratcliffe, well done. All right, this slide is probably one of the most significant slides that I'll share with the shareholders today. Remember that revenue chart that I showed, where we're doing exceptionally well in revenue, and USA margin is growing by 200% and really look really good. I've been thinking about the future of GraceKennedy, and it's always good to have a landmark. And the landmark that I'm using is 100 years, when we're going to be 100. And that's in 2022, approximately 4 years from now. And I said to myself, with the revenue being generated, is the company generating enough profit and cash and economic value for our shareholders and the owners of this company? And my initial reaction is that we can do better. We can do better. And this is something that we've been working on for well over a year. So we did internal benchmark. When I say internal benchmarking, I don't mean with Jamaican companies only. I mean all over the world. Regionally, globally, locally. And what it is showing is that there is a lot of scope for improvement in terms of the efficiency of the GraceKennedy Group, where we can generate more profits and cash for our shareholders. So we brought in an international company, LCG, and they're in the middle of their exercise looking at the structure. What I'm saying, we're 96 years old, we have been doing very well. We're one of the most respected companies in the Caribbean. On my town hall forums, the respect for GraceKennedy is second to none. But as a group CEO standing here in front of the owners of the company, I'm saying to you that we can do better. We can do better. Never be satisfied with good or okay. This company has to be great. So we're going to be looking at the organizational design of the company to see how we can improve the productivity of everyone working with us, how we can look at our business processes to be smarter, how we can be more agile, how we can reduce our costs in a sustainable way. That is my main project for the year. Because that is when, if executed well, you're really going to see how great this company is. And I, Don Wehby, believe that this is the greatest company in the world. And shareholders is going to see it and it's going to reflect it in their value. But it's going to be some tough decisions. It's going to be some tough decisions. So, Prof, put on your seatbelts. We'll get in there. Corporate social responsibility, I always like to come down with that. Our foundations, Caroline is here. Caroline, doing very well. Our foundations in terms of education, Grace and staff. Jimmy is the chairman, doing exceptionally well. I'm extremely pleased with the 500 students, James, that we're sending to school, and we want to carry that to 1,000 by 2022. In terms of champs, we have signed on champs again. I would say that is the greatest event in Jamaica. The branding and the brand loyalty, because of our sponsorship of champs, especially for the younger generation, is just unbelievable. So we have actually entered into a new contract with ISA to sign to sponsor champs until 2025, which I'm very pleased about. Household Help Workers Award, Unsung Heroes again. We will continue to support our household helpers. This is the board retirement of somebody that I have the greatest respect for, Mr. Douglas O'Rain. He was the one that actually recruited me to the GraceKennedy group of companies. And at the tender age of 32, he appointed me as a CFO. And I don't even know if he knows this, but we had some directors working with GraceKennedy, and Douglas was pretty young at the time too. And I overheard one director said to Douglas, "You're mad, you appoint little youth there as CFO." Mr. O'Rain, I heard your response, and thank you for believing in me, sir. Thank you for believing in me. Humility. I gave the joke already, you know, Mr. O'Rain, I hope you don't mind me saying it. He drives a Nissan X-Trail, right? And I think he's probably about 10 years old by now. And, you know, you always say, "Dougie, why you don't drive a better vehicle?" And he looked like, "Why would I? You know, I'm happy." And I think that's the character of the man, you know, in terms of material things. It's secondary. Helping people, developing youngsters like myself and others around the table. That's what he's about. And I would say he's by far, in my mind, one of the greatest strategic thinkers I've ever worked with, and I'm benefiting from it immensely now. And sir, I just want to really thank you for your contribution on behalf of all the executives to the GraceKennedy Group. You have done an outstanding job, and I think you are going to enjoy your retirement, as you have been. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I must be the longest speaking CEO at any AGM. But I had a lot to say, and GraceKennedy, we are quite a complex company, so I prefer to share information, and we can answer questions after. So thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you.